We're back with the league. Back here, hanging out, talking about conservation and ecology in the world from an ecological point of view. Think about nature. We got the league here. Don't know if I already said that, but I'm Jay, your host. Who else? Who do we have here with us?
I'm gonna let the ladies go first.
I'm Grace.
And I'm Puria, aka Bob.
Yeah. So, what we doing here? We just hanging out, making conservation and ecology. Well, not necessarily just ecology. Engineering. Just thinking about conservation, right? Hanging out. It's not all. You should never trust what anybody tells you anyway. So if you hear her say something, Google it. If it's not right, you just learn something. There you go. So, what are we gonna do today? What are we gonna talk about? You guys feel free to cut in. This is our first episode, so feel free to cut in. It's a conversation. We're just hanging out. Maybe I should have put the camera up there. Maybe I should have kept the camera down here. You guys don't be all like. It'll take some time to break in.
Yeah.
As scientists, we naturally put our guard up, and that's what this is designed to do. Designed to bring that guard down, so that for those who are watching and who want to be conservationists or want to think about conservation, or who don't think about conservation, can know that us scientists, conservationists, are also people too. We sit around, we hang out. What they call it? I don't want to curse, but shoot the hoop. So,
Did you always know you wanted to be conservationist? Did you always?
Question. I did. I've been a nerd my whole life. But ever since I was literally like 3, so I guess as long as I can remember, I was obsessed with monkeys and apes, and I just kind of ran with it, and I feel like I was really lucky that I had parents that were like, yeah, you figured out what you're interested in, so go do it. And there were a lot of road bumps, and there's still road bumps, but yeah, I don't know, I've always feel like I'm really lucky that I've always felt like I know what I want to do, so.
Yeah. What about you?
I didn't always know I would end up a conservationist, but around about the end of my high school, when I was doing career choices, I realized that I do like being in the outdoors, and there's work that's called ecologist, and you can do that. Just go and be out in nature. And I thought I was also an introvert, and I thought that it was a way to avoid having to interact a lot with people, but I have come full circle, and I'm an advocate of people in conservation now.
What about you? Or
Yeah.
you want me to go next, or you want to go?
You can go next. I can go last.
You gonna explain them what the rattle means?
No, you can go. Like, how did you become interested in
I've
conservation?
I want to say many things. It's always many things, but first off, and not to impose any like spiritual standards or no one else or nothing like that. I'm just telling about me. I never wanted to engage in any other work that would require me to use the negative aspects of humanity or human behavior in order to do the things that I feel I should do, like take care of my family and work until Jesus comes back. What am I going to do? Like, I don't want to get into business because I don't want to, really want to be successful in business. In my opinion, you got to be willing to step on others. I don't want to do that. I just want to live peacefully, and like, there's gonna be issues that I'm gonna have, just inherently. But I didn't want to have a job where it was using the negative aspects of myself. And so I also grew up outside, and nature is, I have this thing, this ability that I like to call the voice of all things. I can hear it, right? It's like watching nature and it like speaks to me, right? Um, and so doing conservation, I've always wanted to be a what do you call those? Not just conservation. I don't understand why these two things are different because to me they're one and the same. But a humanitarian in conservation, to me they're the same thing. Like I don't understand why they're two separate words. I understand like just factually, right? Humanitarian is focused on humans versus conservation is focused on nature. But I feel like you can't talk about humans without nature. So that's why I see it as like a weird thing. But I've always wanted to be a humanitarian. Um, I've always wanted to put myself through the ringer to help something that can't defend itself. I have a very deep sense of sacrifice, and so um, I just think it's the best job. And my third level to that is when I sit down and think to myself, I really want to be out in nature to watch nature until I go to heaven and not mess up as much. Like, where can I be where I won't like mess up as much as possible? Um, Getting into like the negative aspects of myself, it kind of stay mostly pure, and also help others without them knowing that I'm helping them. So I'm not like manipulated. But how can I stay out in nature and practically, I don't want to say do nothing, but do what I love to do, but how can I trick the world to trick the world into paying me to do what I love to do? And to me, that's what conservation is, just tricking other people to let me do what I want to do, which helps them, but it's kind of more of like a cheeky way of thinking about it. But yeah, no one ever asked me that question before, so kind of have to explore it. What about you?
How I got involved in conservation goes back to my ninth grade, where my teacher first exposed me to conservation biology. And I said, like, oh, that's cool. And like, ever since I remember, I was like in nature, going after snakes and lizards. Yeah, and then like, I was like always loved nature. So then it's like, okay, I found a way to like study it and like explore it. Then I took the opportunity, and then like first when I was exposed to nature, I was kind of like not good for it. I would like capture like animals and like harass them, put them in jars, keep them unethically. But then when I got older and like I was exposed to conservation biology, I thought like, okay, I can do good. So I don't know if I'm doing any good now, but yeah, that's how I got interested in conservation. And then I did my undergrad and then I did my master's. Here I am doing my PhD.
You say that you used to, yeah. I saw little boys at home who played with little critters and these so if they found a flying like bug, put a stick in it and then run around, make it buzz around. They say it's a helicopter. I mean, they were interacting with nature, but it's not everyone who then later realizes that, I did this thing, I shouldn't do this. Yeah, I grew up, I had a lot of exposure to like nature too because we collected something called mopane worm or caterpillars. There's a big moth and it makes a caterpillar bigger than this finger, and it's spiny, and it's a delicacy where I come from. And also, farmers got into using it to make like feed supplements for their cows. So then when the season would come around, which is around December in the summer, the rainy season, we'd go out and collect it, and we were going out just into the wilderness and into the pine tree woodlands and collecting buckets and buckets and buckets of this caterpillar. So it wasn't very good either to begin with, eventually, because business catches up whenever business comes into things, then we overuse. Whereas typically, if people were just collecting them upon one for their daily food. But yeah, that's how the feeling, the experience of how good it feels to be out there in the world came into me, and I thought it would be nice if I can do this as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't always. You started off just loving animals.
I did, but I was thinking about too. I mean, I think that's common as a kid, you know, like we don't always have respect for the life around us, and I think that's because we don't have understanding of it. And there's such you know, like we do what we're taught to do, and so I think, you know, like yes, I loved animals, but it was really easy to love the cute and cuddly animals. And I was definitely a kid that was always collecting bugs. um, so I don't know. I think it's about finding love in the unlovable, I guess, and conservation as well. And I even think like this is something we could also talk about if you guys are interested. But this is getting a little off topic.
No,
Sorry.
we're just flowing.
But as you all know, Jane Goodall passed away not that long ago. I was really lucky. I actually got to see her speak before she passed, like 2 weeks before,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But all this is to say, I recently watched this show on Netflix called Famous Last Words. So it's really like a cool concept. It's a show where they've gone and interviewed a bunch of really influential people who are getting into their old age. And the whole idea is it's an interview about like asking important questions and then also like, okay, like what are your famous last words? Like what impact, what do you want to say to people before you go? And then they release it after the person passes away.
Mhm.
So she like coincidentally was the first of people to pass away from this series.
Wow.
So there will be more episodes and I have no idea who else is on there. But all of this is to say, I was watching Jane Goodall one. It's a great watch if any of you are interested in watching it.
Yeah.
Um,
Trying to look for it now. You go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm just trying to pull it up.
but
Some MacBook
she
slow.
talks about, and I know like I think the common theme here was how much we all enjoy just being in nature. And she talks about oh no, not the Ed Gein story. That's not good.
Have you watched it?
Okay.
Here it
It's
is.
something.
It is something.
What are you talking about that movie?
Yeah, it's about a serial killer.
Oh,
So yeah, so this is the show. But she talks about it one time, and it really resonated with me because this is how I feel when I do field work. She talks about how she was sitting at one point before she even had encountered chimpanzees in any capacity that was
Mhm.
going to be helpful to her research.
Yeah.
And they were basically like, weren't you like depressed and like this is awful and like why am I here? And she's like, no, because I knew I wanted to be in nature, and when you sit and you listen and you pay attention, there's so many other things going on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
She talks about like how she was watching these like dung beetles,
Yeah.
and it made me think of my own field work where
Yeah.
I've been like sitting there after like hours of like, wow, that did kind of suck, but like then you're silent
everything is speaking.
and everything's moving.
Yeah.
Like it's the coolest feeling in the world.
Yeah.
So sorry for that really long tangent.
No.
but I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to all of us. So.
Yeah. I mean, keep going. I mean, I'm gonna pull this up right here. I've already put it up, but I think it's a good topic. I mean, I think it's like the spirit of. I wonder if this mic is picking up the sound. Let me see.
I think it is.
Oh no, it's not. Okay, so we can look at it and talk,
Yeah.
and
It's
we
a
can hear it. But
yeah. It's a crazy concept. I can't believe it honestly took so long for someone to like think of it.
let me turn it down that way. You can still talk and everything.
But I'm curious. I don't know. Do you guys think other people like who do you think they interviewed outside of Jane Goodall? Like, I'm curious who you think. Do you think he did David Attenborough?
Maybe they have done that.
Maybe.
When we think he might be dying soon.
Right?
He's 100.
It's like,
He's 99.
and at the end it gets
Wait,
very. It gets.
David Attenborough's 99.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's turning 100 soon.
I can't believe he outlived Jane Goodall.
Yeah, crazy.
But like it is kind of a crazy concept because like at the end of the interview he's basically like, okay, so when people are seeing this, you're dead.
Wow.
So what do you want to say? And like what a crazy
We won't
thing.
release it until
Oh yeah, he is 9 or
If
99.
you want to get more famous.
I guess so.
That's crazy. He is 99.
Yeah.
I feel like
How old was she? Was she 90?
He was
91, I
90.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
Um
I
yeah.
probably should have used my MacBook for that. I mean, not my MacBook. it's
Anyways,
not
you guys should definitely watch it. That's my media recommendation of the week.
bad. Yeah, you guys want to watch it now?
So famous last words is that they do the interviews and then after they pass away
They
it.
release it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So I know. It's really crazy.
They don't see
Sliding off someone's downfall almost like
It's a little.
it's so
It's
such a
awkward.
double edge
It is.
because it's like oh wow like it's just like so impactful and it's
No,
so,
we
it's,
know.
uh-huh
Like, you're not gonna go to 150,
No.
60.
maximum I think I'm gonna live around like 66.
What? You have to
It's 100.
I don't think 100.
It's gonna drag on.
Not if you keep wearing bright colors like that. That'll keep you alive.
Yeah.
and vibrant.
You have to keep me a target.
Like oh who's this guy why he so young let's get him put him in the lab yeah. Wow.
Zinger.
Yeah. But no, I think like off of the, because of course it's kind of crazy. It's like, oh man, let me go around and let me go to a nursing home
Yeah.
and like film people's last words, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's like people's last words are their last words. It's like, and it's such a profound thing, and it's the last thing that you get. Like it's profound. Like, I keep repeating it's the last thing, but I mean we know that. But it's like
It's like you didn't avoid it.
yeah.
Because you could have, you can get to a point you don't want them to go so much that you don't even want to, like, face that fact
Yeah.
or mention it or just approach the fact that, okay, I want to get something from you before you go.
Yeah.
So you didn't avoid it, and you did something actually important,
Yeah.
something that is of value to whomever cared about that
Yeah.
person, you
Yeah.
know.
It's like taking and this is and I know I always get like a bunch of, especially like during like ABS hour. I be feeling like I be getting so many like I feel like people be like get this guy out of here. And I'm like, because it's such a sad thing. Like for instance, I've always wanted to go to the Amazon. When I was little, when I was a kid, I was like, I'm gonna go to the Amazon right now. It's like the California of wildlife.
Yeah.
It's not everything out there, Like I want to go out there, that's like if you want to discover something, go to Amazon. That's like statistically that's your highest chance of finding something new. But just to see, huh? You said what?
That sounds like a good advert for the
Oh.
Amazon shopping. If you wanna find anything,
Anything.
yeah.
Statistically speaking, scientists say. Like you, but I like no, I don't know about that.
Like the guy that doesn't want anything.
Yeah. But no, but it breaks my heart. It broke my heart whenever I used to hear about the Amazon being on fire. Right? And I'm like, man, like, God, bro. Like, it's like, and then, like, when you look at animals and stuff and everything, and extinct animals that used to be here, used to be very abundant and whatever else, and it's like, I feared I still kind of fear that we won't be able to show our kids like, oh look, this is the elephant. This thing used to be a thing, actual living thing, you know. But I'm thankful and I'm glad that we have a picture of it to some kind of recording of it, or whatever else. And the thing I was talking about, like getting like death, not death death. I don't think it would still be death death, but I think like people just think that I'm stupid for the most part. But what I mean is like when people talk about like conservation, and I'm interested in the um, I accept that we can't save everything. And so I lean towards. I feel like I've missed out just naturally. I've missed out on the adventure that I've missed out on what Jane Goodall could have experienced. Not because she's gone, but because the habitat is gone. I don't know if it's actually gone. I'm just saying, like just in general, right? The golden days when Darwin was going around looking at stuff or looking at finches and everything or whatever, all the gold, like all that stuff has passed us by. And this is just my opinion. I'm not speaking facts here, but I feel like it's passed us by, and we are forced not to do conservation just because of the beauty of nature and because of this and that, but because like we're forced to do it once again, not because we enjoy it, but it's because we have to try to conserve what we can. Because then it's going, it's leaving. Like it's literally like it's like oil in a thing. Like it's just evaporating, And so you have to look at things strategically and like, oh, what can we save and learn how to just let go. Like stop with the whole, not stop, but the whole idea of like restoring.
It can break you. I mean, I'm old enough to have seen in one lifetime an environment degrade in the town that I was born into.
Yeah.
My country is landlocked and it's semi-arid. We don't have a lot of perennial rivers. The rivers are like ephemeral, seasonal, but they carry a high volume of water. So it'll be a wide channel with deep white sand and a lot of big trees on the sides, like a lot of big like wooded riparian vegetation. So we used to love that. When December comes, the sunny, like the southern global south summer comes, and you get that like that flash flood, and the river fills up. It becomes a big serpent of water, and it just flows, and then it'll smooth out the sand, and then the next day there's no water. The sand is just cool, a bit of water. We come to hang out, and that we loved that space. And the defense force, like the soldiers would come on their boats the day that it fills up. Just I don't know why they did that, but they would come out, and it was so fun. We would all gather by the banks and watch them. That 2005, I moved from that town to another town. I came back in 2010, and there had been sand mining for construction. Sand had been scraped off of the river. They had dug meters and meters down till it was just mud. They had touched the mud. And then it was now, the water was not flowing past, it was becoming stagnant. Plant vegetation was taking root, it was clogging up the river. The banks were breaking, it was changing, and it broke your heart. It breaks everybody's heart to see that happen. And yet it's like it's not stopping. The demand for sand, when you think everything that we're trying to conserve in nature has a market. Sand, I didn't know sand was such that like the cartels around sand mining, and it is damaging the environment. And I did a project on it for my master's because I cared about it so much and I wanted to talk with people, understand what was going on, and it did help me understand it. I did get to that point where later on I was working in environment impact assessment. I just saw the wars in policy and law and business, mining businesses the wars that go on, like without regard. I don't know. It's like we try to separate, but it can't separate. Because the next day, the crime is going up in the river now because the channel is clogged up and it's got vegetation hiding spots for criminals. Life comes together like that. So we do have to do something, but also not get too disheartened. There's like what I mean is that the business around sand will go on.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to do something, but also accepting it.
Yeah. It's a lot like in ethology, my main body of like my main field outside of the neuro part. Just ethology is just all it is just watching nature, watching an animal in its own environment. And is not work for a lot of people because if you cannot learn to let go and let nature be, so a lot of times you sit there and you watch a gray goose lay its eggs, and then some of the eggs hatch and they're waiting for the other ones, and then the nest gets attacked by a fox. Yeah, you could go and kick that fox and like get out of here because you really care about the gray goose and their babies, but that's nature. You have to be able to stomach sitting there and watch that because then you saw that gray fox, which you see that fox take it back to their den, or just live. To have babies one day. And you have to be able to, like you said, like not just let it go. Like, oh well, whatever. That's the point of what we're doing now. Like we want to garner all of research. Engineering. That's what my first thought goes to. Engineering, researching music. I saw this thing on YouTube the other day where some people are hooking up these electrical pulses to plants.
I've seen that.
And they're playing the electrical pulses.
Plants and mushrooms.
Yeah, yes. And then they're playing music. Is just because it's not leaving, but at the same time, it's leaving, but at the same time, what we have we must preserve. And that goes back to the old person about to die, getting their last breath, not their last breath, their last words. Beauty is fleeting. All good things are always fleeting. And it's something that you have to learn to accept, and that's a part of the beauty. You can't hold on to them forever. And it's just what it is. I find that things that we have use for stick around, like chickens. Imagine if dodos were like chickens. We would still have dodos around. If people want to be. And then people are like, well, we don't want to. They'll go extinct and this and that and the third or whatever this and that. It's like, yeah, I get that. There's all conservation is needed. I'm just in the realm. I'm not against other forms of conservation. I'm just in the realm of trying to find whatever we can. I just really feel like if I say, hey, this newly described lemur in Madagascar is used for. We use it as a perfect model for all Alzheimer's. Then we could preserve a pocket of that species. The habitat, no, but we can preserve the pocket, make like a little life raft for it, And the more we do that, which I know a lot of people feel like is because if you go too far with it, then people just start, whatever, right? Start making excuses like, oh, well, we have some of them in captivity. So what's the problem? We can just kill all the ones out of the wild. Like, no, that's not the point. But you can't stop the people. You can't stop people. Like, you can't stop people, honestly, from providing for their family. Sand miners that's going out, they don't want to do that. They're doing it because they want to provide for their family, right? Markets for everything we all can't be rich. No matter what people say, everybody can be rich. No, we can't. We literally can't be rich. Like, that's not how that works. There's trophic levels. Everybody can't be on the same trophy level. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work. That's not how ecosystem work. So
I like to call it being a hopeful realist, because I feel like you have to have hope that you can fix things, or else like you're like, why am I here? Like, why are we doing this? And you have to keep that. But then, like you're saying, like you have to be realistic about what can be done, and your motivations behind what you're doing. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I want to take a step back, and you guys talked about nature, and I think if we want to describe nature, we all have like a somewhat similar definition of what we mean by nature. But some people like nature for them is their like local park. And
Yeah.
like when you were talking about like the Amazon and like it used to be like different, but now it's like has changed so much because of like human activities. There's this thing that's called environmental generational amnesia. Is that like what now our kids are gonna see Amazon as that's what it is now, but that's not what it's supposed to be. It was like completely different like 20 years ago, but now it's like different nature. So people think that's the virgin nature that we should like see. And a great example is like David Attenborough because he's 99 now and he's seen a lot of stuff. And in his latest like documentary, Planet Earth 3, I think, he talks about like the first Planet Earth came out in like mid 2000s, I think.
I feel like it was like 2008
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, and then now it's been like 20 years from then, and then he talks about it like back in the day, like when we first started like filming Planet Earth, the oceans were completely different. The savannas in Africa were different, but now we are like trying to film it. There's a conflict going on around like key lion habitats. There's like a lot of stuff happening. So much change, and then he brings in at the end. He brings in the Hulk. That's like he has an episode about like conservationists who are like working trying to preserve what's remaining of this nature. But this brings me back to like what is nature? Or like what are we trying to preserve? So like is it gonna be the same? Like is nature gonna have the same meaning like 20 years from now? Like our kids are gonna have the same like definition of nature when they see it because the thing that like uh, the world is going through like eventually I think we're gonna have like every animal you're saying like yeah that lemur is good for like curing Alzheimer, but we're gonna keep it in captivity. I think like eventually we're gonna have all the species at zoos or protected areas which is not so different than a zoo
Yeah.
because they're like closed areas.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking about it.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I like that because it's people. I've worked at sanctuaries. I've worked at institutes where, like, I always say, I'm getting tired of myself saying it. Texas Biomedical Research. It's a nice. Some people don't think it's a nice place, but they have this. They have the biggest. I feel like it's tired of me saying like, shut up, you know. But Texas Biomedical Research Institute. They have the largest baboon colony in the U.S. They live. They die there. They have this whole thing. They go through like family systems or whatever else that's then they're used for biomedical research as a good model for biomedical research, behavioral biomedical research, because they're just a good model for us. They're olive baboons, Hamadryas baboons, majority olive baboons, and they thrive. They thrive there, but that's not their natural habitat, right? It's not their natural habitat in zoos. I hate it. I don't hate it. I hate it for it's a dual thing. It's two sides to the same coin. You know, on one side, I hate it because they're not free, right? I find that one of my core tenets is freedom for everything and everybody, right? Because that's not to me. Like in the Bible, it says, I'm not trying to preach to you guys, but you have to agree with me and nothing like that. Purpose that. But God gave everybody freedom. Everything has freedom. So who is anyone to take it away from anybody? Knowing I can't take your freedom. You have no right to take my freedom. We have no right to take the freedom from that grass, you know, but we all have to coexist, right? So there's limitations that we have to get used to coexist. And that's the core of my being, freedom and allowing that freedom. So I hate it for the animals, but at the same time, I love that they're still alive. I love that they're still there, and
As a species.
as a species, they're still living, and that they've made it right. It's kind of like the and Lord have mercy. I'm glad this isn't being published, but this would just only be watched by people, but because I don't want people to think I'm trying to conflate the horrors of Holocaust to whatever. But like, I'm not sure actually. You have to fact check me, but if there's any survivors of the Holocaust, that's amazing. That they're not in Germany anymore, but they're here or they're somewhere else, still thriving, having kids, which is beautiful, right? And they evolve, they haven't. It's within them in their behavior to preserve the culture that they used to have, But it evolved, and so I think that's beautiful, right? And
Refugees.
huh?
Refugees.
Yeah, exactly. That's to me that's like wow, like you've come such a long way. You're not exactly one for one, then, but all of that happened then wasn't for naught. Like you guys wanted to survive, and you are surviving. That is the point of life. And it's this paper that just came out, or this research that just came out about I forget if it's insects or I forget, but it's basically to me it gave me hope because within this one organism, there's a embedded within the DNA of that organism is a completely different organism that I'm sure is like phylogenetically linked at some point, but they found that like under certain conditions, this organism within it comes from the organism that's completely separate. And so I've always had this idea in my mind that if you can conserve an organism, even if they're not in their natural habitat, all other organisms that it would have naturally became or whatever is in its DNA. So if it's not, it's just if the stimuli comes back around, then you can get instead of just this certain kind of parrot, you can get a macaw because of the environment allowed for it. But if it finds itself in captivity, whatever else, it won't be a macaw anymore.
Yeah.
Over time, it'll just divert to just be something else. But if you can preserve the DNA, the living DNA, and then reintroduce it, things get better, right? Not necessarily reintroduce it. You can make things better or reintroduce it, right? The potential of every other thing that a macaw could be or a parrot could be, a macaw or this, whatever all these different species, the potential is still living. And that's, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like the potential in the DNA is still there. It just needs to have the right circumstances of stimuli to exist. What do you guys think about that?
I mean,
Feel free to
this is a
disagree.
little bit off topic, but this is more on the zoo topic. I think we're just missing like a key portion here, which I totally am with you. Like species survival plans, that's zoos, like that's huge. And all of those genetic banks that we have, like that's a huge deal for conservation. So I'm 100% with you on that. But it's also something like I had a pretty profound moment, I would say, when I was a teenager, when I got really into animal welfare and animal rights, which I think we all are to an extent.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to my mom, like, oh, I don't think, because I grew up going to zoos and like loving going to the zoo.
Yeah.
I remember saying to my mom at one point, like, oh, it just makes me sad. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go and I don't want to see, the animals in captivity and that lack of freedom that like is really so beautiful. And then she said to me, okay, but how would you have ever known that you wanted to do what you wanted to do? And like I grew up in the Chicago area, and the Lincoln Park Zoo, for example, fantastic zoo. It's free. Like that,
Oh, really?
It's free. And like I think zoos and zoo field trips for kids, that's how people figure out how to care in those kind of
Yes.
areas. So there's also that aspect of it that like I think people are always like expecting myself and other people in conservation as well to be so anti-zoo and like anti, not keeping things, or which the other thing is, like, we can't rewild zoo animals either. Like, we can't stick them back into the forest generally. That's
Some species you can.
some species, but for the most part, like, that's not really a feasible concept or solution. But that is a big part of it too, where I'm like, she was right, you know, and like these accredited organizations with these really great enrichment programs, they're doing real good out there for that reason. So I totally get you, because it's like such a juxtaposition of like, yes, it hurts my heart, and I'm like, I would love to see those animals in the wild, but it's also so important, not only for like the species survival, but also so that people know that there's, you know, people can go to the zoo and see something that lives in the Amazon, see something that lives in, you know, I don't even know, wherever. That was a big part of me, I think, growing up and also becoming a conservationist.
I hate.
Don't go
I'm
on.
sorry. I hate. I don't know if I would say hate. I don't like SeaWorld though.
Yes.
There's certain things are just like atrocious.
Absolutely.
Like-
I'm with you on that one.
Like,
100%.
I feel like seeing a bird in a cage.
It's sad.
That's because it's meant to fly. That's like, at least make a gigantic cage, like a gigantic like bird cage, so it can fly. You can do with it, like seeing a parrot or any kind of bird in a cage. To me, is like it's a confliction in my mind. Like, you know, I'm glad it's alive, but it's not able to even do the most basic thing that it can do.
Yeah.
Like, right, like, so. And then if you take a whale or an orca that is intelligent enough to suffer, and you put that's slavery. That's to me. I don't care what nobody say. That's slavery. This thing has the capacity to suffer and understand that it, like, we can't even keep great whites. They'll just choose to stop living if you put them in captivity, because they're a pelagic animal. Like, they're meant to travel. You don't cause unnecessary suffering. Like, the animals in the zoos, the primates and everything, they can still have some level of life, because if you put more in them, they're a communicative species, right? You don't do what they're doing with orchids or what they've done.
I think part of that is the echolocation too, because they're obviously a communicative species as well. And I think the echolocation actually bounces off the walls and like hits them back. It's terrible. We've all seen Blackfish. Maybe we should do a Blackfish watching episode.
I don't want to like. Yeah, I don't want to like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about zoos, but like the accredited zoos, I think they're like essential for conservation right now. Like, I did my whole master's like working at a zoo, trying to do zoo conservation and reproduction, and like with the amount of like funding they bring to conservation, it's really like helps us a lot. Like every like conservation program you look into, like especially when they're dealing with like endangered species, they have like a zoo where they either are working as like a survival like plan to like breed the animals or have the animals, or they're providing the funding for that project. And a lot of like researchers, like after they finish their PhDs, they like the zoos are like providing like the research, postdocs, and like, or even staff. And some of them are doing like work in the field. They're not doing any work in the zoo, but still like they're funded through the zoo institution. But those zoos are, I think, like if we count them, they're gonna be like, I don't know, like 50 maybe.
Very few.
Very few. Yeah,
that are accredited.
that are accredited and also like contributing to conservation, because some of those zoos that are accredited, but they're not really contributing significantly. But like, yeah, so maybe they need to do better work.
I hate how because I used to reach out to different places that have like animals, like they're big cats, elephants, llamas, lemurs, whatever they got there. I used to reach out to them and like, hey, you know, I would love to do like the ethological study, you know, to help formulate more, to bring evolution into enrichment plans, not just a static. We put a ball in here, and it's just the same ball. Like, I can do an ethological study, watch them, I understand how they were in the wild. Let's try to implement new and evolving enrichment that where it can stimulate them in the way in which they normally would be stimulated. They're like, oh, and when they hear research, they think that you're going to come cut the thing apart and take his brain out, or whatever. So it's like, you have to just set up a camera
So
and just watching. Yeah, just watching like that and stuff. And you can do different things, right? So yeah. But when it comes to like the reintroducing and stuff, and everything, as technology gets better, I just thought about this, and I wanted to first I wanted to get your. I don't know if you had something you want to say to the conversation before I move this to something else. You sure? Okay. One, I just thought about this. I mean, I'm not like saying this is a good way. I'm just thinking like I'm just getting into my experiment brain. But what if you think you guys think it would work if we took let's say olive baboons, right? They've been out of the wild for years and years and years, right? Just take one, or maybe like a population of them or a family of them, right? Put like not cameras, but record wild sounds where we plan to reintroduce them into some like larger habitat that's still protected, recording just sounds, right? We know which sounds that they probably should be aware of, right? And to run from, right? So they're not just eaten by the most updated predator, right? Because it's kind of like when you take an animal out of the wild is still progressing, it's still updating, and it's like taking an iPhone 1 and trying to get somebody here in 2025. They're like, bro, there's better options, and they get out competed very easy. But what if we had some kind of like we played sounds of like just the sounds of where we're going to place them. Say like there's like a jaguar sound in the brush or something like that or whatever else. So like every time there's a sound, like with technology, we can put them like in this room, right? That has like a simulated vision of like, oh, you see the grass moving, and we can waft the smell of a jaguar in there, and like, I don't know, shoot him with a tranquilizer, make him go to sleep, to simulate death. It's like, and then do that over like a time period, which would be somewhat traumatic to them, but it will prepare them. So we put them out and they get this stimuli from either auditory stimuli, visual stimuli, chemical stimuli. They're behaviorally adapted. Think about that.
I have thoughts.
Okay.
So I took a conservation translocations class in my master's program.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually from someone who is part of the CHEG. It's the Guam Kingfisher Translocation Project.
Okay.
And they translocated this kingfisher onto the Palmyra Atoll islands, and it's been successful, and which is a huge deal because translocations are so hard. And it's also like the biggest takeaway is everything that you could plan for and that you could be like predict for, you'll forget something or you won't think of something and it'll go wrong. And like they're few and far between for that reason because they're really hard to do. I think it's totally species dependent.
Yes.
I think it's also age dependent because it's very different if you're able to raise a chick and expose it to some of those stimuli like you're talking about versus like taking like an adult mating pair that's never been in the wild.
Yeah.
But also, I think that the other part, and if we want to get into genetics too, the other hard part with like if we're taking them specifically in a zoo context, because like there's been successful, like most recently, and this is something I would nerd out about, Gorilla Doctors is an organization, and they successfully translocated a couple of orphaned, I think it was it Cross River gorillas or lowland, but a species of gorilla that they have in a sanctuary because of pet trade and other unfortunate poaching issues. They were actually able to assimilate and translocate them into a group in the area, a wild group of gorillas. Nice. So it's like totally been successful, but from a zoo context, like is there is it going to be impacted by the fact that this is probably generations and generations of like hundreds of years of being in captivity? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's my thoughts. I think it's good to think about because it's definitely been successful.
Yeah.
But it would be fun if we could like we should do a case study or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should all pick a species and see if we could actually plan for it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's hard. But what do you think?
I mean, exactly what you said, like it's species dependent. Like if it's a primate, the biggest things for primates is behavioral adaptation.
Right.
And behavioral adaptation also having the equipment, what I mean, or having the habitat to then pair that behavior with. So like primate, oh, I smell a tiger, or I hear a tiger, or I associate this whatever, climb up the tree. But if there's no trees, you cooked, you know. So so there's that. But like with reptiles, for instance, reptiles are very temperature, climate dependent, right? So it'd be very hard to do that with them. With a kingfisher, a bird, you really need for every species, you need what do you call that thing? Hierarchy of needs. What is the guy that did that? You know what I'm talking about though? Like he did some psychologist that did.
Food, water, yeah.
Yeah, so you need a hierarchy of needs for each family of animal. So like that's just like general like reptiles, primates, so what do you call them? The whales and stuff you call them.
Cetaceans.
Cetaceans. Not Satan. Cetaceans. Cetaceans, yeah. You need fire. Huh?
Killer whale.
Yeah. Cetaceans. You have, avians, that kind of stuff and everything, and really take into consideration, because my biggest thing is their behavior. Behavior. I personally believe the only thing that truly evolves, obviously this isn't the only thing, but the most important thing to me, because you could guess it being a behavioral person, is behavior. Behavior evolves, and I'll die on this hill. Behavior evolves before everything else. Prove me wrong. So like, it's you need a hierarchy. That way you can do these things. Some stuff is just temperature dependent. Some things are just like, you just trying to do with fish. If the ocean is too acidic, then you cook, right? But there's also like I have a friend who he's my friend. He doesn't message me back anymore, but he works with these Arkansas fish where he does that behavior stuff where before they reintroduce them, they acclimate them and train them to like avoid predators and everything in the water. So I think that's amazing. I think it's cool, but I completely agree it's species dependent. What do you guys think?
I was gonna say that I have to keep going.
Oh, okay.
I have stuff.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. So when I'm doing this, I'm gonna just cut out whatever. But so I'm gonna do my second thing that I do at the end. All right, it's time to go. We appreciate you for sitting in, listening to us, and sitting in on the conversation with the league. We invite you to come back again later for our next session. But yeah, we've been the league. You've been the leaguees, I guess.
Leaguees.
Terrible. But the viewers, and we hope you keep conservation on your mind and continue to inquire. And I'm going to steal Neil deGrasse Tyson's stuff, but I'm going to flip it. Instead of keep looking up, keep looking around.